Hi guys, welcome to Season 2 of Our Pagan Opinions. I'm Thorn, your Thursday host, at least as far as I know. I'm a little out of the loop because the primary mode of communication for Our Pagan Opinions is Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook. So, until I hear otherwise, here's your Thursday video, because nobody's posted one yet. This week, we are kicking off the season with a discussion of spellcraft, and specifically why it is that a spell might be ineffective, especially if you've been practicing magic for a while and you're used to things working. Why it is that something might suddenly fall flat on you. And I will start by saying that I have not watched the other hosts' videos because sometimes when I do that I feel like I'm cheating because they're always really insightful and I get to modify my thoughts and what I'm going to say based on that, and it just feels like cheating. So I didn't want to do that because I come so late in the week, and anyway, there's a lot of insight and a lot of discussion by the time Thursday rolls around. So I wanted to be a little bit more off the cuff. And I just got out of derby practice, which is why I'm disgusting and wearing a bandana like a dog, so don't judge me. I wanted to raise a couple of points, and I'll preface this by saying this comes from a place of maybe skepticism or cynicism. If you've watched my personal channel, I think that comes through sometimes. And I don't mean either of these things in a negative way, but I think that they're important to consider when spells don't work. And the first is that I think it's very common for a lot of us, in the excitement of the knowledge that magic is a real thing that we can use to improve our lives, and that everyone has the capacity on some level to do magic, I think it's very common for us to lose sight of the fact that magic is a practiced art that requires a lot of effort, a lot of focus, and a lot of dedication. And it's just like learning to play a sport or being really good in school. It requires learning a new set of skills and employing them on a regular enough basis that you can develop them over time. It's sort of like it would be naive of me to decide that, well, hey, basketball looks fun, I'm going to go play basketball. And it would be naive of me to expect that I'm just going to be a basketball badass right off the front, right? But I think a lot of people come into magic and witchcraft specifically with this idea that because everyone's capable of it, I must be awesome at it right away. And I know this doesn't apply for people who've been practicing a while and their spell suddenly doesn't work. But I think it's an important consideration that doesn't get talked about. Just because it's available to everyone doesn't mean that it's easy. Most of us don't walk around in the kind of mindsets that are conducive to magical work in our day-to-day lives. It's something that requires a lot of practice. So if you're just starting out, or if you've only been at it for a couple of years and things don't seem to be working, or they're not working the way you want them to, then it's probably just a question of more practice, and there's nothing wrong with that. The second thing, before I kind of go back and maybe nuance things, the second thing that I wanted to bring up is that I think a lot of us have maybe unrealistic ideas about what magic is capable of, at least in the way that most of us practice. Because, I mean, let's be real, if all of our spells worked all the time and we could do spells for anything, then we'd never have to worry about finding a job or affording health care or finding a partner or whatever. We'd never have to worry about that stuff, and I don't know that person. So if you're doing spells for things and they're not working, then it's probably just honestly, and this sounds negative, I think it's by and large a question of power. I do not think that individuals have as much power over their lives as we're sometimes encouraged to believe by certain kinds of religious movements, especially New Age traditions and neo-pagan traditions like to stress free will and personal responsibility and control of the individual to modify their own lives. And it's not that these things aren't true. They are. It's just that I think we sort of create illusions about what we as individuals are necessarily capable of, because sometimes If you can't get a job, it's not necessarily just because of you. I mean, the economy sucks, right? There are a lot of other factors that are external to you that you don't necessarily have control over. And I think it's unrealistic sometimes for the average person, the average magical person, to expect that they can just impact that and change that with a spell, even if it's something that you've poured your heart into, you know, and written yourself, etc. Honestly, guys, most of us are just not that powerful, okay? And like I said, I don't know that that's even necessarily the kind of power that we should be aspiring to. I don't know. I don't know. I think that a lot of us, and I mean myself included, especially when I was a lot younger and I was first getting involved, I think it's so exciting to come to the realization that magic is a real thing, and it's something that I'm capable of, and it's something I can practice, and it's something I can use to improve my life. Well, yes, but sometimes bad things happen, or sometimes things don't go our way, and sometimes we don't get what we want, and a lot of the time, it's not because of anything we've done or not done as individuals. It's because that's not really how the world works. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked about because there's so much emphasis placed in this particular group of traditions on self-authority and the power of the self and creating one's own reality, and all of that is well and good, but it's also really, really idealistic. Right, Oliver? I create Oliver's reality. He doesn't create it for himself because I have power over him. Sorry. Anyway, I think that's an important consideration. So these are 2 points. One, magic takes more effort and practice and dedication than I think a lot of people understand or at least want to talk about. And 2, I don't think individual people are as powerful as sometimes we're led to believe. Neither of those things necessarily addresses the person who's been practicing for several years and things have been working out smoothly and then suddenly a spell falls flat. And I would guess that hosts have already directed responses at this particular situation, and I would say that I mean, what's different about this spell? Is there something more challenging about it? Does it require a particular kind of mental state that you need to be in? There's got to be something different about either it or yourself. And I mean, if you're having a crap day, or if it's not something that you can get into, I mean, it won't work. So, like, whatever, it happens. Like, try again later. I don't know. Or maybe the spell itself was, it just required something else. And I would say that maybe it's a question of practicing some particular skill more, whether it's visualization or energy work or whatever. Excuse me. I would also say, if you're accustomed to all of your spells working all the time, then maybe you should try pushing yourself harder. Everything is a sports analogy for me right now because I just got out of practice. But if things in your life are easy and they're coming to you and you're not having to exert a whole lot of effort, then maybe you could be accomplishing a whole lot more. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing if your spell doesn't work. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I really want to emphasize that second point that I made, though. I think that the individual is a lot less powerful than maybe we are encouraged to believe in New Age and Neo-Pagan traditions. Because if we all had the power to do all the magic over anything we wanted and it worked all the time, then none of us would ever be unemployed or unhappy or poor or lonely. Oliver, please don't eat that. Etc. So, anyway, those are my 2 cents. And, anyway, I'm going to go watch the other host videos right now. But I hope everyone has a good week, and we will see you next time.